Last week, I received a message from someone who said, "I sleep 8 hours, but I wake up exhausted. I pray, but the words don't come out. My soul is dry. What's happening to me?" Do you identify with this feeling? Have you been feeling drained? Not just physically, but with a mind full of thoughts, a restless heart, an overwhelmed soul. It seems like not even sleep helps. Not even crying brings relief. If this has been following you, take a deep breath. Today, I want to share with you 5 ways to rest your soul in God. These aren't magic formulas. They're biblical paths, simple but profound, and they can transform your inner world, even in the midst of the storm. There's a type of exhaustion that coffee can't fix, that a good night's sleep doesn't eliminate. It's a weight that seems stuck to you. Have you ever felt a lack of energy so great that getting out of bed feels like a battle? A restless mind that even when everything is silent, keeps racing at 1,000 miles per hour. A constant pressure to handle it all, as if the world would collapse if you stopped. This exhaustion has a name. It's soul-weariness. And about it, Jesus has something powerful to say in Matthew 11:28. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Notice that Jesus doesn't promise to take away the problems, but he promises to lighten the burden. That's the essence of the spiritual rest we'll explore today. The first way to find rest for your soul might seem obvious, but many of us forget. Tell God exactly how you're feeling. God doesn't expect you to pray with beautiful words. He expects you to be truthful. I knew a young mother who, in the midst of a burnout crisis, locked herself in the bathroom and simply said, "God, I can't take it anymore. I'm exhausted, irritated, and feeling guilty about all of this." That simple prayer was the beginning of her restoration. Sincere prayer is a surrender, not a performance. You can literally say, "Lord, I am tired. I can't take it anymore." King David did this in the Psalms. In Psalm 13, he goes so far as to question, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever?" And that's in the Bible. If a man after God's own heart could be so honest, you can be too. When we express our true state before God, something extraordinary happens. We begin to release the weight we've been carrying alone. And now let's move to the second point, which completely changed how I face moments of spiritual fatigue. When we're soul-weary, the last thing we want is another task. So forget that pressure to read entire chapters of the Bible. The Bible is the bread of the soul. Even a small piece can sustain you. I knew a man who went through deep depression after losing his son. For months, he could only read a single verse, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." He repeated it several times a day, like taking medicine, and that single verse sustained his faith until he could breathe again. If you're without strength, start with the Psalms. They're like a diary of someone who went through all human emotions. Or the Gospels, where you find Jesus directly dealing with tired and overwhelmed people. Some verses that can nourish your soul. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. When you feed on the Word, even in small portions, you're giving God space to restore your perspective. When soul weariness comes, our tendency is to isolate ourselves. That's exactly the worst time to do so. That's why the third point is essential. There is restorative power in sharing your burden. When you say out loud what you're feeling to someone you trust, that pain becomes lighter. One of my favorite Bible stories is about the 4 friends who opened the roof to bring a paralyzed man to Jesus. Sometimes we need friends who carry us when we can't walk. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 reminds us, 2 are better than 1, because if one falls down, his friend can help him up. I encourage you to ask someone you trust for prayer. Talk sincerely with a brother or sister in faith. If necessary, seek pastoral counseling. Even Jesus, in his moment of greatest anguish in Gethsemane, took friends with him to pray. If the Son of God himself sought company in suffering, how much more do we need each other? And this leads us to the fourth way to rest your soul in God, which transformed my own experience with anxiety. There are songs that are like sung prayers that express what we feel when we have no words. I know someone who, in the midst of an intense anxiety crisis, played a worship song and repeated just the chorus for 10 minutes. Rest, O my soul, the Lord takes care of you. In the end, they could breathe again. King David didn't just write psalms, he sang them. Music has direct access to our hearts that sometimes spoken words can't have. I recommend starting your day with worship, even before looking at your phone. Create a playlist of songs that speak about God's faithfulness. Choose worship that brings peace, not just those that stir emotion. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Worship songs are like anchors for our soul in times of storm. They remind us of eternal truths when our emotions are unstable. And now we come to the fifth and perhaps most difficult path to soul rest. There are moments in spiritual life when it seems God is silent. Prayers seem to hit the ceiling. The heavens seem like bronze. This silence can be terrifying. But I want to share a truth that has sustained my faith in the darkest moments. God's silence is never absence, it's preparation. Isaiah 40:29-31 tells us, He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Something powerful happens in silence. It's like a seed under the ground. It seems like nothing is happening, but in reality, a whole life is forming. Therefore, I want to encourage you. God is shaping something in you right now. He hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing the right time. Sometimes, silence is the place where our ears finally learn to hear God's gentle voice. As C.S. Lewis said, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pain. Pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Now I want to invite you to a moment of pause. If possible, close your eyes, breathe deeply through your nose. Feel the air filling your lungs. Now, as you exhale, imagine that you're giving to God everything that has been weighing on you. Lord, renew today those who are tired. Show that your presence is rest. Calm this restless mind. Silence this relentless anxiety. Give peace to the troubled heart. You know every invisible battle being fought, every tear shed in secret, every sleepless night. Remind us that you don't despise the broken heart, that your strength is made perfect in our weakness, that we can rest not because we are strong, but because you are. Open your eyes when you're ready. Remember what we talked about at the beginning about that exhaustion that not even sleep resolves. This is exactly the invitation Jesus makes, not just to sleep better, but to live awake in a new reality. I want you to know, you are not alone. God is there with you. Now. Not tomorrow when you get better, not after you solve all your problems. Now exactly as you are. The exhaustion you feel today doesn't define your destiny. God has new beginnings for you. Even when it seems all paths are blocked, He specializes in parting seas. Remember, even the tree that looks dry blooms again. When the right season comes, and yours will bloom too. Jeremiah 31:25 says, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. This is the promise for you today. Not a life without struggles, but a strengthened soul to face each day with the certainty that you don't walk alone. If this message spoke to you, subscribe now to the channel. Click the subscription button while you're still feeling the impact of these words. We'll continue walking together here with faith, hope, and rest in God. And more, share this video immediately with someone you know is tired. You can be an answer to prayer for someone today. In the comments, tell me, which of these 5 ways did you most need to hear today? Let's build a support community here. May the Lord bless you, keep you, and renew your strength. Until the next video.